What up, meal prepsters? It's Bobby, and you guys have been showing me the love lately and digging my recipes, but a few of you are jonesing for a meal prep for weight loss that is low in fat, low in calories, low in carbs, but huge on flavor. Impossible? Nothing's impossible in this kitchen, yo, because today we are making chicken kefta lettuce wraps. Ground chicken loaded with pistachios, raisins, and herbs, put in a lettuce wrap and finished with a tahini drizzle, and Moroccan vegetables. Root vegetables, oven roasted, hit with a Moroccan spice, and finished with pistachios and lemon zest. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and join the Flav City community. I don't have to show you my abs or my biceps, even though they're looking pretty jacked. It's all about the meal preps every Friday morning, baby. Let's start with our Moroccan vegetables. I'm preheating the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and in front of me I have my root vegetables ready to go in the oven. I have one small head of cauliflower that I chopped the florets off into large bite-sized pieces. I have 3 or 4 Bugs Bunny-like carrots. You can use baby carrots, or I actually like the ones that have the green top still attached to them. I think they taste a little better because they're still getting fed the nutrients from the green tops. And I have 3 or 4 parsnips. Now, if you haven't had one of these guys, they're perfect for roasting in the oven, and they kind of taste like a celery and a carrot made sweet, sweet love and had a baby, and they're gonna get so caramelized and sweet in the oven, they're crazy. I've never been to Morocco, but in my mind, if I did, this is what it would smell like. Cumin, coriander, cayenne pepper, a little bit of cinnamon, very common in Middle Eastern food, and smoked paprika. Just smells kind of like floral and earthy, and you get a little hint of that cinnamon. On top of our vegetables here, I'm gonna sprinkle about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half total, and then go over with about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. They need some love in the oil department because we're not frying it, we're not boiling it, we're roasting it in the oven, and this is gonna help make the vegetables insanely crispy. Now the veggies are bland, so in addition to the spice rub, don't be afraid to pinch over about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of salt, and then a few cracks of black pepper. And then no need for any fancy mixing tools. I'm using my bare paws just to mix this up really well. Now pop these guys in the oven for 25 to 35 minutes. While the veggies are doing their thing in the oven, let's get started on our chicken kefta lettuce wraps. So in front of me, I have 2 pounds of ground chicken breasts. Now you might say to me, Bobby, I thought you said in the past a jillion times chicken breasts are really lean, they don't have a lot of flavor, and you might not want to use it. That is all true, but you guys have been asking for the lowest fat, the lowest calorie meal prep ever, so I am just a messenger doing your work. And I'm gonna make this work because I'm gonna add this smorgasbord of flavoring sitting right here to the breast meat because it is bland as can be and it is lean as can be, so it needs a lot of love. So to that, I'm gonna add a Moroccan Spice Rub, the same exact one we put on the veggies. In this bowl, I have cumin, coriander, and smoked paprika, and then cayenne pepper and cinnamon. And then I'm gonna grab 2 cloves of garlic, and I want the essence of the garlic, but I don't wanna bite into a big hunk of garlic, so I'm gonna leave the paper on like this, don't even bother peeling it. Then grab my microplane grater and just go back and forth. And the beauty of leaving the paper on is that it actually protects your fingers from getting grated. And yes, that does hurt like a bizzo. And then on the bottom, all the pulp of the garlic comes through. And then give it a good whack. And in case you noticed, yes, this is the newest collection of color of microplane grater in my kitchen. It goes well in my bouquet of zesters back there because that is the only bouquet that's allowed in this kitchen. If you want this kitchen tool, which I highly suggest you do, it's below down in the description box. A 1/4 cup of red onions, that's gonna add some moisture to our chicken kefta. About a tablespoon of chopped mint, a tablespoon of fresh parsley. Now in my mind, when I go to Marrakesh, I envision them using raisins and pistachios in their keftas. I'm not 100% they do it. I've had it here, but for Bobby's trip, we're gonna add it because the raisins will add sweetness and the pistachios will add a nice crunch. And finally, pinch in 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. And just use your hands and mix up the mixture very well. So when I make kefta at home, which we do very often, I usually use ground lamb. But lamb is really high in fat and calories, so that would not fit into the meal prep for weight loss. You could do this with ground chicken thighs. It does have, honestly, slightly more calories and fat, but this is the leanest possible kefta ever. So by adding all these fixings we just did, it's gonna be so juicy, so flavorful, and so lean. The meat is thoroughly mixed. Let's go ahead and make some kefta. So make sure you form them into small kefta, not too big, otherwise they're gonna take a longer time to cook. Now before you form these, dip your hands into some water and then pick up the chicken mixture. Now back in the old days when I was a brash, young home cook, I wouldn't dip my hands in the water and the mixture would stick to my paws. But my mother-in-law told me to dip my hands in the water first, and that way it prevents it from getting all schmutzy and smeared on my hands. And look at that. Are those some clean paws? Mom-in-laws know best, y'all. Now some of you guys might be like, man, even though that Bobby's hair game is on fleek, there's a lot of ingredients in this recipe. Well, wait until next week. We're doing 5-ingredient meal prep. And then coming up, we have some ideas for some meal prep challenge videos. Leave a comment below because the videos you guys want to see the most are my favorite to make. My 20 chicken soldiers are ready to be cooked, but before we do that, it's been about 30 minutes total. Let's check on the vegetables because it smells legit in here. Oh yeah, that is what I want to see, y'all. Check this out. The vegetables are nice and crispy. You have the kind of caramelized burnt ends of the cauliflower, and the spices have set over and on the parsnips and the carrots perfectly. And if you're not sure if it's done, just take a paring knife and stick it in. If it comes out with relative ease, you are made in the shade. To make these flavors pop even more, I'm gonna sprinkle over about a tablespoon of chopped pistachios. That'll up the crunchification factor big time. Then I'm gonna reach for some fresh herbs. A little more parsley and mint will be really nice. And finally, you don't get the hashtag of being obsessed without being literally obsessed with the zest. So a little bit of lemon zest over the top of this will wake up the flavors and give it a nice citrus punch. You guys, the flavor is literally off the charts. The pistachios are popping, the lemon and herbs are fresh. Somebody give me a hookah because I feel like I'm in downtown Marrakesh. To cook the chicken kefta, I'm preheating a large cast iron pan over medium heat. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of olive oil. If you guys don't have a cast iron pan yet, I'll put a link down below to this one, in addition to all the kitchen tools that I'm using for this recipe. And then add the kefta to the pan. And it's really important that your pan is preheated for 2 minutes because you want them to start sizzling and cooking as soon as they go in. And I don't want to overcrowd the pan, so I'm using 2 cast iron pans, but if you don't have them, you can just do 2 batches. If you overcrowd the pan, the temperature goes down and you won't get a great crust on your kefta. And to minimize the mess, I'm gonna slap down a splatter guard. That'll make my life a little bit easier when the cleanup comes later on. We're gonna cook those for about 5 to 6 minutes on the first side, and then we'll flip them. Does that crust not look absolutely beautiful? Now the only reason why it looks that way is because we preheated our cast iron pan and I did not touch it for the first 4 to 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna give it literally 3 to 4 minutes on the next side and then evacuate the dance floor ASAP because the white meat chicken will dry out so quick, so our window is kind of like NASA style. The launch window is like 3, 2, 1, get it out. Now let's get the last one out. And take a look at that, you guys. Golden brown, you can see the flecks of the raisins, the pistachios, the herbs in there. And if you're not sure if these are done, just take 1 sacrificial kefta out, cut it open, and if it looks done, you're good. If it's raw, that way you know, and you cook it for 1 more minute. The last thing we have to do is hit it up with this turmeric tahini sauce. That is the bomb. Let's get on to making that. This is tahini. If you grew up in the Middle East, this is your version of peanut butter. It's nutty, earthy, slightly bitter. It's dairy-free, but it's gonna make the creamiest sauce you can imagine. Let's add a couple tablespoons to a bowl. And then this is turmeric powder. I feel like this is show and tell. Come, this is turmeric powder. This stuff is an anti-carcinogen, it's an anti-inflammatory. I put this in teas all winter long and it keeps my immune system legit. Let's add a half a teaspoon. Then I'm gonna grab a lemon and my newest toy in the kitchen. First, I'm gonna take off the bulb. And it has a zester inside, so obviously it's very close and near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna zest in half a lemon, then pop the top back on, cut the lemon in half, and then use the top as your juicer. Plus it doubles as a microphone, so I will always love zest, oh I. That was horrible. We're not gonna use that. Sometimes you gotta try it. 1 teaspoon of agave nectar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a couple cracks of peps, and then about a tablespoon or 2 of water, and then give it a whisk. And I love how the turmeric makes the sauce kind of yellow. Got my meal prep containers here, and if this is not the healthiest looking meal prep spread this side of the Mississippi, I don't know what is. Let's add 4 of the kefta to the meal prep container, and then add a bunch of the roasted veggies. And then for garnish, a little bit of pomegranate seeds to make it pop, some pistachios, and some sesame seeds. Now that looks awesome. Now here's my favorite way to eat it. I like to use butter lettuce or living lettuce, but you can use any kind of red leaf or romaine lettuce you want. And then I use that as kind of like the cup. And then I pop one of the chicken kefta in there, like a snug little packet. Then drizzle it with some of the turmeric tahini sauce. A few more pomegranate seeds. It's gonna add an awesome crunch. Little more pistachio, Crunchaholic Rex. Some sesame seeds to reinforce the tahini. And some fresh mint. Now, if that does not get you excited about eating and cooking healthy food, I honestly don't know what will. You guys, there is honestly so much flavor and texture just banging throughout there. I don't even know where to start. The chicken is moist and juicy. I successfully cooked ground chicken breast somehow. The texture from the pomegranates, the pistachios is awesome. And that turmeric tahini sauce on top is just complementing all the flavors. And this wrap adds an extra layer of crunch, and I'm digging that. So when it comes to storage and reheating, you can freeze all this for 2 to 3 months and then pop it in the 400-degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes when you're ready to eat it, or you can just pop it in the microwave. Or what I like to do is just stash the whole thing in the fridge for 5 days and reheat it in the oven when I'm ready to get it in my belly. That's it. You guys asked for a weight loss meal prep. I'm pretty sure I feel like I delivered. If you want the recipe, it's down below. Tag me on social media when you make it. If you want to see more videos, check out the ones below me. But I'll see you next week. Until then, you keep on cooking. I'm going to keep on eating.